Hello and welcome. Today we are talking about the other four characters from Win or Lose. If you haven't seen it, I made a part one. It's not necessary to watch this video, but it's also there if you enjoy this one. So let's get into it. All right, so the first character we were talking about is Ira. Ira is an imaginative little kid who struggles to make friends and feel seen, especially when his big sister gets a boyfriend, Yuwen. We'll talk about him later. And she starts spending more time with him. He kind of feels left out, so he sets out to find some friends of his own. Unfortunately, Ira runs into the Bleacher Creatures, a band of teenage hooligans. So Ira goes up to the Bleacher Creatures and they, kind of introduce themselves and they start talking to him and paying attention to him and showing interest in him. So he's like, oh, okay, well, these are like my friends. These are the people that are paying attention to me. So he starts hanging out with them more. His sister kind of warns him like not to do that, but he doesn't listen to her because she's not paying attention to him right now in his eyes, And so he's hanging out with them and they convince him to do a heist with them by framing it as like a game. Because, he uses his imagination. So he's like, oh, it's a space mission or whatever. But they're actually stealing from the concession stand. Afterwards, Ira kind of feels conflicted because he's like, he sees, the damage that he's done, but also like these are his friends and they're happy now. So he has to weigh like what does he value more, his morals or his friends? And that's kind of the theme of this whole episode. And the decision gets harder whenever he hangs out with them more because the Bleacher Creatures show that they care about Ira. Like they have these little actions, these little moments that we see. They care about Ira. They care about Ira's safety. They're watching out for him. They're not treating him like some little distraction or whatever. They're treating him like a friend. And so Ira's like, well, I don't know how to feel. Like they're stealing, but also these people are my friends. Like what do I value more? So a moment comes when they bring him to a party, which is really sweet because they're introducing him like he's cool. He's one of our friends to make him feel welcome. Well, his conscience starts to get the better of him and he is really feeling the guilt of knowing what he did isn't right. So he goes to talk to them and ends up messing up their plan to steal the sneakers from Rochelle, and they kind of blame him and break his little telescope thing, which causes him to like run out into the street, which it appears that he lives down the street from the party they were at, so it's not like they just let him go run wild. He kind of just ran home. But we see later at the softball game, he's trying to repair his morality and apologize, which he's putting loose Swedish fish on the counter. So it's not like he's really doing anything, but in his kid brain, he's helping out here. And while he's doing this, the Bleacher Creatures apologize. They kind of extend a hand of like, hey, we're sorry, we were jerks, what we did wasn't right. And we shouldn't have treated you that way. And it kind of makes him stop to be like, well, again, he's conflicted of like, these people are my friends. They're caring about me. They're showing interest in me. And I'm kind of like ratting, And we get this beautiful shot of like, we see Ira standing in the light and they're in the dark and they're kind of pulling him to their side. And he's like really weighing the decision. And again, this is a little kid. This is a little kid who's having to stand here and weigh like, what do I value more, my friends or what's right? When he's a kid, he's a little kid. However, they make the choice pretty easy for him because while he's kind of weighing his options, and when we leave off on his episode, we think, oh, like he's gonna side with them. Lena, one of the Bleacher Creatures, busts through the gate trying to steal the cash box right in front of Ira, and she drops it on the ground. Ira is then faced with like, oh, this is really serious. Like I do know, in fact, that this is too far. And so he takes the cash box and runs, and that's kind of how his episode ends. So actually, while editing, I found a clip where Ira slips the note under the garage door. I've watched this show like 8 or 9 times, and I just now noticed it. It's just kind of a crazy little detail that slipped through the cracks, so I just wanted to add that in here. But really, it is such a... If not for that, it would have been such a difficult decision, because Ira does not have friends other than his sister. He does not have people that show interest in him and care about him and actually care about him. And so he has these people that are giving him that attention that he wants, but they're also doing things he doesn't agree with. So it is a gravitationally difficult choice for Ira, because he has to choose between his own morals and the admiration of his friend. And most people in their life are faced with this choice of like, yes, I want my friend's support, but how far am I willing to go to get it? It is not an easy choice, and there is no right choice. Each person is different, and the Bleacher Creatures are inherently bad people. They steal, they, vandalize, but they really care about Ira. They show that they care, and they feel remorse whenever they hurt him. So they're not just these one-note bad guy characters. They are doing bad, and yes, they could get Ira in trouble or even worse, hurt, but they still care about him. They still show they want to be friends with him. This is just a really interesting and difficult part of the show, because it's one of those moments where there is not a right answer. There is not a correct decision. It is just, what do you feel is right and what are you comfortable with? And that is what you have to do. And that is something that is difficult for all of us, but especially so for a child. So we're moving on to Yuwen's episode. Yuwen is the pitcher for the Pickles team, and he has a crush on Taylor, as we previously discussed. But after asking her out, Yuwen shows that he's like struggling to open up about himself. He's very closed, and he always puts on a front, and he's trying to impress Taylor with this, but she just wants him to be himself. So after realizing that, obviously their relationship can't work unless he opens up, he shows his true self to Taylor. And after this moment, their relationship kind of takes off. Like, he feels comfortable around her actually expressing himself, and she feels comfortable around him, and they're getting along great. And we get to see them grow and be honest and trust each other. But there comes a moment when Yuwen's jealousy, which we've seen previously but not as much, gets the best of him, and he starts to resent Taylor and stop trusting her and is pushing her away. And then we see him start to become aggressive towards her and try to hurt and embarrass her in front of her team over something that was not actually happening. His own jealousy and his own insecurity pushed this distrust of this person that he loved considerably. And him not being able to trust her is what led to the downfall of their relationship, and honestly, most relationships out there. In any relationship you have in life, you need to be able to trust the person you're with. If you cannot be honest with them and you can't trust them, then you don't love them. Because if you love someone, you would feel that you could be honest with them and that you could trust them fully. And relationships are difficult, and each person is different, but if you are not able to trust each other, if you are not able to be honest and fully accept that it is a risk to trust someone, but it is a necessary risk, then you might as well not even enter the relationship, because it will end in disaster. It always will. But know that if your partner does not trust you, then you have to leave. You have to know that this is not going to be a good relationship for me, and I need to make space and make time for myself. And then maybe your partner will learn from this and grow and change for the next person. But it can't be you, because you have to be able to be trusted by your partner, and you have to be able to trust your partner. Moving on, we are talking about Kai. Kai is a young girl who moves to the area and struggles to feel like herself. She joins the softball team and feels like she's found a place where she can embrace who she is and be herself around her newfound friends. We see in her apartment, her grandmother's apartment, that there's old photos of her being on a baseball team and kind of clearly unhappy. But we see that the softball team makes her very happy. When her father finds out, he's very angry with her at first, but then accepts her decision. We see that her father puts a lot of pressure on her. And that's kind of the main problem that she faces. He pressures her not only to do her best, but to be perfect at whatever she does. But Kai is just in it to have fun. And we can assume that that's why she was miserable on the baseball team, putting all these expectations on her when she just was in it to have fun. And she feels like softball is something that she can go and just play for fun, that he won't get involved. However, her father goes to these games and continues to pressure her just like baseball, and makes her push past her limits over and over again, only for her to not celebrate her victories, but instead critique the things that she did wrong. Later in the episode, she gets a small injury while practicing and trying to relieve some frustration, which normally wouldn't be a problem if she'd been given time to rest and let it go away, but her father continues to push her over and over again, which worsens her injury. Kai's father also is awarded the title of the new coach, which completely destroys her spirit. She just wanted to play softball for fun and to feel like herself and just to be able to enjoy something, but now she's going to be under this constant watch and pressure to be perfect in something that she just wanted to have fun with. Now she feels like she can't have fun because she has to be perfect. She has to always be trying. The pressure from her father forces Kai to overwork herself, worsening her injury until it goes so far that she breaks under the pressure. Kai feels absolutely destroyed and is crushed under the weight of her injury and her failure because she was not able to be perfect for her father. When all of this happened from a game she just wanted to play for fun. Supporting the ones you love means understanding why they do what they do. Kai was in it for fun. She just wanted to play the game, have fun, be herself. But her father was in it to win, which caused Kai to no longer have fun doing it. You should be able to let the people around you enjoy what they want to enjoy, because not everything is about what you want, either for yourself or for them. Let them make their own decisions and do what they love. You should be encouraging your friends and family, not expecting things from them. Lastly, we're going to talk about Dan. Dan is the coach of the softball team and also Lori's dad. Coach Dan struggles to express the way that he feels for seeming too emotional or hurting the team. And we're going to say that phrase a lot. He's shown time and time again holding in his thoughts because he's told it's what's best for the team. He doesn't want to seem too emotional or too reactive. But Dan loves his team. He feels like they're all he has left and wants to be the best that he can for them and do what's best for them. Which in reality, what would be best for the team is if he stood up for himself and said how he was really feeling. Dan represses his emotions to the point where he feels like he can't even show the love for his daughter without hurting the team or feeling like he's picking a favorite, which drives a wedge in between him and Lori. We see that in Lori's episode where she feels like he's distant and doesn't really care that much for her, but he feels like he can't show that love because of the team. And he feels like the team is all he has. So he's stuck in this spot where he loves his daughter so much, but he can't show it, and he just has to bottle it up with everything else. And this pressure builds inside of him until he finally pops and goes ballistic over the team, destroying the field, which he feels like was the last thing that he had left in his life, or was the last thing that he had real control over. It works out at the end that he realizes that it was not the last thing that he had, that the team is still going to be there for him, and he always has them. But it just goes to show that this stress can be detrimental to not only you and your body, but also the things that you love and the people around you. Bottling up stress in this way and not letting it out and telling people how you feel can hurt you and the people around you. The people around you should know that you love them. You should tell them that you love them. Anyways, that's all I had for today. This might be a shorter episode. It might be the same length. I don't know. I have not edited this yet. But thank you for watching. I hope that you enjoyed. I might do a few one-off, just little small topic episodes, maybe a minute or 2 minute, and then I'll probably be done with this story for a while. If you enjoyed this video, you should like or maybe follow. I do read every comment, so if you have any comments or ideas or things that you think I should have mentioned, leave them down there and I will probably respond. But other than that, I think that's all. We'll see how this turns out, and I will hopefully see you guys later.